I'm Cindy Mosca, and I want to thank you all for being here for this virtual event tonight. The board welcomes you and is very happy for your participation. Chuck is going to go over a little bit about procedures and how to ask questions. Chuck?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Those I know and those who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet. Welcome to this presentation from the Ethiopian Eritrea Return Peace Corps volunteers. And thanks to our esteemed president, Cindy, for keeping us on track here. We would first ask everyone to click your mute button. In the bottom left of your screen, there's a microphone. If it's green, you do need to click on. You didn't hear me say, and it's muted, but I just went through the process. Click on. There'll be a red slash through your microphone. Please, for the courtesy to our presenter and for getting the most out of this presentation, please get yourself on mute. We will try to allow a lot of time for questions. And what you'll see across the bottom of your screen is a little box called chat. And when you click on that, at the bottom, you will see a 2. You can address your questions either to everyone or to me. You can select the specific participant that you want to select from the list of participants. I suggest that, well, it's easy enough, just send it to everyone, type in your message, press return, and as the presentation goes, feel free to raise your questions as our presenter goes through the story of his wonderful program out in Borana. I will be taking notes, and when completion, just to keep it in an organized fashion, I will go through the questions posed in the chat box, and I will share them with our presenter for his response. So I'm going to go on mute, and I'm going to turn it over to our to Randy. Randy's worked with our presenter, Tashome. And I'm going to let him introduce Tashome, and we'll get on with our presentation. And I'm going to go on mute.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm glad to have you all here. I'm the treasurer of this group, and I've been handling the finances of our legacy program projects. We have several of them, but one of the oldest of these projects is a girls' education project in Borana, Ethiopia. I don't know how many of you have ever been or know much about Borana. It's in the extreme southern portion of Ethiopia. And I've been in touch with Tashome, Dr. Tashome Kelkile. He is the administrator of this particular project. Tashome practices psychiatry in New Brunswick, Canada. And from time to time, of course, he goes and visits his native area. He grew up and went to school in the town of Mega, M-E-G-A, an interesting name. And he and his wife in the early 2000s established a NGO, a nonprofit, Ethiopian nonprofit organization called Mega Vision Developmental Association, primarily for the purpose of sponsoring educational programs and sponsoring girls' education in the area. And he will be explaining why that is so important in the Borana area itself. And I would just want to add that this project is sponsored by our Ethiopia-Eritrea RPCV legacy program. And it's supported primarily with the great generosity of Dr. Fuller Torrey. Fuller Torrey was either the first or one of the first Peace Corps doctors in Ethiopia in the 1960s. And thanks to him, this project has been ongoing since the mid-2000s. Okay, I will just now give it to Shomi to carry it away and tell us all about the grasslands of Borana.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity, and also thank you for the introduction. Finally, I came to the group of people who can pronounce my name. I'm glad. So I have laryngitis, so my apology in case I start to have a sip of water. So I will be presenting what we've been doing in the last 19 years. We've been running a charity educational acceleration program for girls. So we are registered charity called Mega Vision Developmental Association. I will go through a little bit of introduction where I say a few things both about Ethiopia educational system, Borana, and also myself. And then I will focus on the educational acceleration program for girls. And then at the same time, also how we started the charity. I will try to maybe do this in about 35, 40 minutes so that we could have a time for discussion, maybe in even less than that. So the background, I don't want to say too much about Ethiopia because all of you have been there and all of you know a lot about Ethiopia. So the population is now close to 120 million. So the last census was in 2007. Since then, the government did not get opportunity to have really a formal sort of a census. So there are over 80 ethnic groups and as many languages and dialects. The population growth is really very, very fast, close to the annual percent of population change is close to 2.6. Economic status, as you know, is not good, but there is significant improvement year by year. But still, compared to the number of people who are below absolute poverty line, I really can't say things have changed so much in terms of the resource. In fact, we had better resource when we had fewer population. There is no question. In terms of talking about the modern education in Ethiopia, as you all know, modern education is new to Ethiopia. So the first state supported non-church-based school established in Ethiopia was in 1908. That is by Menelik II. So the Menelik II school in Addis Ababa, I believe everybody who has been in Ethiopia as a teacher might have heard about the school or has visited the school itself. Prior to that, there were no modern, Western education centers, but definitely for hundreds of years, there has been a church, schools and different types of education. So they used the Ge'ez alphabets, all the church songs and services, poetry, and interpretation of scriptures. There were many other ongoing activities within the church and in the country through the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Coming back to Borana, Borana is located in the southern part of the country. So the same Borana people that live in Ethiopia, part of that same Borana people live in the northern part of Kenya. The Borana people are the largest pastoralist community in Africa. The infrastructure is poorly developed. Definitely in the last 30 years, 35 years, things have changed, and year by year, we're seeing significant improvements, but in terms of school, road, and many things, it's not that developed. There were no many schools until very recently, and those schools were only either elementary or maybe grade 1 to grade 8, and the first grade 9 and 10 was inaugurated in 2009. That was very recent. Even then, the government really didn't start as planned, and Mega Vision supported that school, and we bought over 120 different books and supported the teachers and the students so that they could start the school that year. So the plan was to start 2010. We helped the community to start 1 year earlier. So education, school enrollment is very low, and that it's lower, much lower for girls, and there is high rate of dropout, as you can imagine, and there is also frequent drought. This is the first school in Borana. It was built by the Norwegian Lutheran Mission in mid 1950s, and this is where I went to school, partly grade 1, and then a new government school was also started, and then I moved back to this school for grade 4. So I moved back and forth between this and the other public school. It's one of the oldest. It is still functioning. So the area is vulnerable and there is frequent drought. This picture, I took both pictures in February this year. The picture on the left hand, because of the drought, there is displacement, and people have left. But when I was there in February, left their villages and they came to the roadside where they could very easily get help, be it water or grains or any help the government or charity organizations could give. That is really the worst I've seen in Borana. And the cattle, as you see also to the right, there is nothing there. And it didn't rain for 2-3 years in Borana. That was very tough. Livestock is everything in Borana. So the Borana has no written history, but it's the stories, passed from generation to generation through, the word of mouth. There is a saying that livestock or cattle solve every problem in Borana. So if they lose their cattle, they've lost everything. There was a leader called Liban Wata. Liban Wata is known for being a wise leader. He was a leader between 1778 and 1785. Yeah, we have a long history there. So he was a wise man. He solved every puzzle and won every dispute. Many men tried many times to outwit him without success. But one day he started to brag, and he said, I'm wise, I'm strong. No one can say of me. He lost. There is no problem that remains unsolved by me. Then the man called Mad replied, are you cattle to solve every problem? Only cattle are the solution to every problem. Are you cattle? As the saying goes, there is no problem that cattle don't solve. Liban Wata failed to answer this question. So it was on that day that he made his only error. So this is just a saying. It has passed through the word of mouth, through generations. It is being told every day now as a very wise person. So livestock is really everything for Borana. This year, the people said Borana lost 80% of their livestock, be it cattle, sheep, goat, camel, everything. So that means they lost almost everything. What led to the girls' program in Borana? There were a few things that came together and helped us start this. There was a psychiatric research project funded by the Stanley Medical Research Institute, where Fuller was a leader. And then in that study, we had a very peculiar finding where there was no person with a diagnosis of psychosis. We used the World Health Organization instrument called CD, the Composite International Diagnostic Interview. So using that, translated, and we validated to some degree, and we used it, but there was no case of psychosis. So as a result of that, we visited the community in 2002. Fuller also had the trip. So that also really was one of the things that happened. Fuller did not know Borana, but that gave him opportunity. So it has nothing to do with the Mega Vision or the girls program. He was there the first time for research activity. And then we wanted to go from door to door and make sure that there are no mentally ill people forgotten who were not interviewed. So in that process, I myself with my colleagues, we walked through the villages as much as we could. And then we visited schools. In the schools, we found that young boys lived in the classrooms when parents travel away with their cattle. Parents definitely they travel looking for good pasture and water. And the boys who want to stay in the school, they had nowhere else to go. They stayed in the same school. They spent the night in the same school where they had education during the day. The girls had to drop out of school and move with their family. So we visited 2 schools. In both schools, there were about 10, 12 boys, but there were no girls. So I asked about what happened to the girls? And they say, oh, girls have to move with their family wherever there is a green pasture. So it could be several days trip. So we published the studies. We published 2 good papers in the World Psychiatry Journal, but we're done with the study, but I was not done with the thought of where are the girls. So we wanted to focus on the girls. Why? Because the Borana people are very mobile, and girls cannot stay in school, and they usually move with the family. There is also perceived obstacle that girls don't do well in school, or they're supposed to get married and have children. And there is also negative attitude towards girls and their education. And also we saw that girls did not have opportunity to even finish elementary school. We also know that the literacy rate is very low, and then that is usually when compared to males, the females, they don't do well. So there is a statistics from 2004, another statistics in 2017 shows significant improvement, but still the girls are on the lower side. We know there are recent improvements, including school buildings. This is the new high school built in a very remote part in Borana. So there is a school expansion scheme. There are also improvements in gross education enrollment. Students were given opportunity to learn in their mother tongue. So there were many other improvements, but still the girls were on the lower side. We know that if we educate a man, so there is a saying by James Agri, So the surest way to keep people down is to educate the men and neglect the woman. If you educate a man, you simply educate an individual, but if you educate a woman, you educate the whole nation. So we've been hearing, this for years. So I think we wanted to make it more practical. So we started supporting just the girl, myself and my wife. After I visited the school, we wanted to start supporting just a girl in 2004. Our plan was to increase that number to 5 in 2005. How do? We didn't have really much money. We didn't make, that much. But we said, okay, yeah, what about we raise a little bit of money? So I will bring it to my friends' attention, especially at my department at Addis Ababa University. And then we say, yeah, we will be able maybe to support 5 next year. And then something happened. So Fuller visited Ethiopia again for a completely different reason, but he wanted to have a time with me and my wife, and we met and had some discussion over the dinner, and Fuller was saying, yes, you know what? Yeah, I've seen Borana, it is very remote. There are a lot of charities here around Addis Ababa, but I think nobody goes to Borana. So he asked, about if I donate $5,000 every year, and then can you help me buying medications and dropping it at the health center in Borana, where people could have access to a little bit of medications. That was a very good idea, and we were very appreciative of his plans. But the same evening, I asked him a question, Fuller, that's very, very good, and it's very kind of you. But how about you give me the money, I buy them any, be it antibiotics or any psychiatric medication, I drop it at the health center in the morning, and they take it out and sell it out, to anybody in the evening. How can I control that? I have no control over it. And Fuller asked, so then what do you think you should do? Because there are a lot of charities here around Addis. If I don't want to give money, where there is already, a little bit of a service, I wanted to give it to Borana. And we told him about our plan, that we started supporting a girl, and that we had the plan to support 4 more girls. So the girl was in grade 11. So in 2004, and we said we wanted to sponsor 5 next year. And how about if we use the money? We're going to register as a charitable organization, and then we'll use the money to help more girls. And he was excited. So it didn't take him really longer than, over a dinner discussion. So he was very happy with that. So we were registered in May 2005. And by September, we recruited 30 girls instead of 5. We recruited 30. So 90% of them, it was competition-based, because the need is high. Everybody has also financial problems. So there is nobody who doesn't need support or help. We wanted to find out how we could recruit. So we just said, you know what? We just give them opportunity to compete, and then we make it a scholarship program. And then we spared about 10% of slots for people who are needy, and then recommended by their teachers that they should be supported. So we're registered in 2005 as Mega Vision Developmental Association, Ethiopian Residents Charity, registration number 868. The goal was to provide educational material support for girls, run a summer program where the university students who come back home give like a summer tutorial programs. We did that between 2005 and 2011, but then managing that was not that easy. We stopped in 2011. Instead, we increased the number of girls in the program. So on the management part, myself and my wife, and sometimes also our son is involved in the management. We have also a national board and a local board. National board is needed because we need to register at the national federal level because we're getting money from abroad. And then the local board with 5 members make sure that students are recruited fairly and they get also what is planned to be given to them. So in terms of beneficiaries in 2005, we had 30. I'm just 2010, we had 57 because we had also a summer program. But after 2011, the summer program was not there. So we started recruiting more girls. For instance, 2015, we had 122, and 2021, we had 143. Last year, we had 147, I think. In terms of where are these girls, how far have they gone? In 2005, we had only one girl graduating from high school and just starting the university. In 2010, we had 7. By 2010, we had 7 girls graduated from university. 2015, altogether, by then, 17 have graduated. In 2021, 102 girls have graduated. The other good thing is we followed them also after graduation. 100, all of them have been employed locally. There were 2. One is employed in Jimma because she's married to somebody who works there. The rest were employed by the local government and working in Borana. Altogether, we have supported close to 1,900 beneficiaries. I think it is now close to 2023, close to 2,000 beneficiaries. Until last year, we had 102 graduates. And this year, we have, the number could sometimes fluctuate, but I think we have altogether about 61 girls in college and universities. The program is funded through the Peace Corps volunteers, the returnees office in the USA. It is funded until 31st of December 2026. So there was a recent discussion about how far can we go, and we discussed that maybe we definitely, I mean, as far as Fuller is concerned, it will be sponsored or supported only until 31st of December 2026. We just signed a new action plan and project agreement with the Borana Finance and Economic Development and Education Bureau. So this is briefly about the Borana Educational Acceleration Program. We would like to thank Fuller. We also would like to thank the Peace Corps volunteers who have really helped in many ways, donated their money, and helped coordinating the program, transferring the fund, following up with what they transferred, giving us also any letter that we need when auditors require. So the other good thing is we have also a very, very good project coordinator in Mega. I do have a good contact and talk to him at least twice a month regularly with him. I have up-to-date information. I have also the list of beneficiaries with their addresses, where they are, which school they attend or university, and then I have their cell phone. So the follow-up is really very easy. So having Mohammed as a coordinator, Mohammed Alamu is his name, that was very, very good. And we also, I didn't write his name. I would like to really thank him as well. So if anybody wants to donate, yes, here is the website, and it can be made to the Borana Students Acceleration Program on the website indicated. We would like to say thank you for your attendance, and we appreciate everybody who really wanted to hear about Borana today. Thank you. Amasaganallah. Yes, I'm back to you.
All right. Thank you very much for your presentation. I had a couple of questions. Firstly, we have one question from one of our participants. You mentioned that when the families of the girls move on for pastoral necessities, that the girls move with them. But while the question is, while the girls are in school, where are they residing? Are they residing with their local families? Are the families in local relationship to the school facility, enabling them to attend school during the day?
So my understanding is the question is about the girls in our program.
Yeah, you mentioned that the boys, when the families move on, you mentioned the boys remain and sort of live in the school. But when the girls in your program, when they are studying, where are they residing? Where's their home?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. We paid for their rent. We pay for school uniform. We pay for exercise books. We pay for all books, anything they need. We pay also for a few other things that maybe they really need money, to buy. And then even we give them like any soap or anything they need, and we pay the rent.
So you're providing room facilities for the girls to enable them to stay in school. I see.
Yeah, so we don't really provide a room, but they go and rent, and we give them the money.
Okay, and I think you addressed the other question, the components of support. So you said rent and uniforms and other daily needs, daily supplies of that are needed by the part of students. So those are the kinds of things your funds support to enable the girls to remain in school.
Yes, so we have
Good.
two group of students. Those in the middle school and high school, they get the support in kind, but we do give them also a little bit of pocket money for rent and different things. Those in the universities, we have their bank accounts. So every semester, we want to make sure that they are in school. So once we make sure that they are really in school, so we transfer the money directly to their account twice a year.
Okay. I had a question. I have a couple other questions about the mother tongue. What language family is the mother tongue, and how is their language transition through middle school and high school? What are their language challenges then? They need to acquire Amharic. They need to acquire English.
Yes, thank you very much. This is a very good question. Yes, yeah. They all speak the Borana Oromo language. So that is good. I mean, to start, with their, mother tongue. But the problem is there is a challenge regarding, other languages, even Amharic. So when we started the summer program, actually, we wanted really to focus on language, both Amharic and English, because our goal was to empower them so that they could compete with other students nationally and go to universities. And when they graduate from the universities also, I really don't want everybody to just come back and employed locally. They have to be competent to be employed at the federal level. So that was the challenge. That was why we wanted to focus on Amharic, English, and definitely also other subjects, but primarily we really wanted to focus on those languages.
All right, getting a number of other questions. Your students, are they, Mega, I guess, is one of the larger towns in the Borana region, but do you recruit the girls who support from a broader area throughout Borana, or where are the students from, is one question. Question about the religious profile of the Borana region. You showed a national profile, which I was surprised to see such a large evangelical percentage. But the question in terms of Borana, what is the religious profile? And I'll just quickly add a couple of other questions. Where does teacher support come from your program or from the government? And finally, about books. Are books available in the mother tongue, or are they needing to acquire the Amharic English and need to be reading in those languages rather than their mother tongue? So let's start with the question about the area of recruitment of your participants.
Yeah, the students, Borana is a wide area. No, we focus only on 2 districts. In fact, that was just 1 district, but in the last 25 years, there was a lot of disagreement among people. So the same district split into 2. So we focus on only Mecca or Dirre and the next district, which was previously part of the same Dirre district. So we focused only on 2 districts. So we really couldn't manage more than that. So the second question is the religious profile. I have to admit, we never ask their religion. We never ask their, but by the way, with the girls, they look, because they are like, they look like a lot of them are Muslims, but that was not the case.
It's just a traditional head dressing that they.
Yeah, there are some, 1 or 2 maybe, but we never ask them. And we try to give priority. For instance, if there are 2 girls who have the same point, in any way, but one is from the town of Mecca, the other one is from a remote Borana village, we give priority to the one who comes from the remote Borana village.
They require more support, to stay in
Yes.
school. Yes.
So otherwise, we never asked about their religious background or any ethnic background.
And the faculty of the teachers in the school are government supported rather than from your program?
All teachers are government supported. In 2009, the school was just built, the government had the plan to start school, grade 9 in 2010, but the people refused to send their children to the next district about 100 kilometers away because they wanted their children to go to grade 9 in the new school. But there were teachers, not newly assigned, but the junior teachers, they volunteered to teach grade 9, but they didn't have any books for themselves and for the students. That is where we jumped in. We bought only about, I remember, maybe about 120 books, 10 in each subject, 10 books. But they were very thankful, and they started grade 9 with whatever we provided them. Then the government took over. The school has now a library and enough books and teachers, I believe.
Yeah. Now, those books are in either Amharic or English. Are there any books available in the mother tongue and Oromo language? Is that's what they grow up as a mother tongue?
No, that was only in high school. Everybody starts in the mother language from scratch, grade 1, or even if they go to a nursery. And then at grade 4, they start Amharic and English. And then after grade 9, everybody is expected to learn every subject in English. So those books are like mathematics, algebra, biology, chemistry, physics, any book, standard. So it is the same book anywhere in Ethiopia, standardized text.
Yeah. I guess that's the way it was 50 years ago, 50 some years ago when I was there, or 60 years ago. Have there in the history, of course, there's no on-site Peace Corps at the moment, but in the to your knowledge, over the years, have there been any Peace Corps volunteers in Mega or in anywhere in the Borana region assigned?
No, there is no Peace Corps volunteer. In 2011, I went to the Peace Corps volunteers office in Addis Ababa just to inquire about the possibilities. So it was not that easy because, there was a lot of security concern. There was a driver who worked for the Peace Corps volunteers office. He was from Borana. He tried to help me, but I didn't really get a chance to talk to the right person to convince them that Borana is peaceful. The name Borana itself is it means peaceful people. So it was not easy to convince people and ask them to send a Peace Corps volunteer to Borana. Not everywhere in Borana, but maybe at least to Yabello.
Okay, so a couple of questions. Geographically, we saw on your map, but is Mega the largest town, and what is the nearest larger town? You mentioned someone now residing in Jimma. Is that near Borana or in proximity to Borana? If somebody, and I guess just a question of logistics. If somebody were starting off from Addis Ababa, how would one get to Mega or to the other larger towns in Borana?
Yes, thanks to the king, thanks to Haile Selassie, there is now a very good international road from Addis Ababa to Kenya that passes through Borana, and it passes through the town of Mega.
Okay, so it's that main road south from Addis Ababa to the Kenya border will take you through the Borana area. Okay.
Yes. So it is 665 kilometers from Addis Ababa. Mega is 665, while Jimma is, I don't know, maybe around 300.
It's further to the west. Jimma is to the west. Yes, understood. Yes. Okay. Question about the areas of study. Let's see. Your graduates from the university, what fields of study have they undertaken? And is there any regional university and now anywhere near Borana, or do the university students attend in Addis Ababa or other locations? Of course, when many of us were there, there was one university, and now there are, of course, many.
Yes,
But,
yeah.
but tell us about the university education that your students
Yes,
are
yeah.
pursuing.
So our girls, most of them, they went to several universities all over Ethiopia. Some have been to Gondar, some in Bahir Dar, some graduated from Aromaya, Harar, which is close to Harar. Some were in Reda, some from Addis. We have graduates in many areas, but not in medicine, and we didn't have also maybe a graduate in law, but we have, I think, graduates in many other areas, engineering, biology, graduates from the teachers training colleges, and
Okay.
from all over. Regarding the university, yes, there is a new university now started in Borana. It's called Borana University. It started in Yabello, about 100 kilometers north of Mecca. So Mecca is not the biggest town. It's just, in fact, it's one of the remotest, and Yabello is maybe much bigger, and also it has many more services compared to Mecca.
Okay, a couple questions about English. The current ministry and the minister has made a big emphasis on English acquisition. Feels that's important. What kind of challenge does that pose to your students? And the other question about the structure, as many of us knew, there was a test that a student needed to pass both at 8th grade to proceed, to continue into 9th. And there was a 12th grade exam in order to get to university. How is that education system working these days? Is it similar? And again, the challenge of the emphasis on English acquisition.
Yes, this is a very, very important point. As you might have heard, last year, close to 300,000 students wrote the grade 12 exam, but less than 30,000 qualified for university. That was very sad. So prior to that, there was no really good exam, and there was no good way of evaluating students' capacity. So students passed somehow, so they went to university. So the quality of education overall was not that good. So last year was the lowest. Last year means this academic year that started in September. The lowest number of students that joined university all over. And we had only one girl who passed grade 12 exam, the national exam, and joined the university. We had 6 or 7 of them who were given opportunity to take some makeup classes and rewrite their exam again this year, maybe in the coming few weeks. So
Okay.
that was not good.
Yeah. So the question is, to go from 8th to 9th grade, is there an exam requirement also?
Yes, there is an exam requirement.
Okay. And then now in previous structure, 10th grade students could go to a teacher training institute and for either 1 or 2 years, I can't recall, and then become elementary teachers. What is the qualification now for certified teachers, at least at the elementary level, say 1 through 6 or 1 through 9, 1 through 8?
Yes, I think they have to complete grade 12.
Okay.
I have to say, my teachers who were just went to grade 10 and they went to Teachers Training Institute, they were excellent. Their English was very, very good by any standard. They could be a teacher anywhere. So the current quality of education and language is incomparable to my teachers when I was in the elementary school and mid-level school, or when you were in Ethiopia.
So a student, if now, is there specialized teacher training beyond the 12th grade that a teacher is required to complete?
Yes,
So 12th grade and then additional training, teacher training beyond 12th grade?
yes.
Okay, but it's not necessarily a university degree.
It is, there are also university degrees. So for instance, somebody
Right.
who graduates in biology or physics could also be a teacher. But in the teachers training, I think they have very special pedagogical skills. It's not only about the academic part.
Okay, so there is after the 12th grade, some additional training required before they become a teacher. Let's see, test 8th grade. Okay. Question, what has been the impact of recent conflicts? Has student attendance, the schools in general, have they been impacted by conflicts in your near your region or impacting in Borana?
Yes, yeah, that depends on where the student is. So I have to say, Borana has been relatively very good in the last 3-4 years. Prior to that, it was not easy and there was a significant problem, but it depends on where the student is. So there were like 2019, 20, there were many problems in the universities, be it in Redawa, Gander, Waldia, many universities, but those things are, I think, are getting better day by day. And for instance, in Mekelle, because of the war, so there was a lot of displacement, and the students who were to graduate, they couldn't really graduate. They didn't have really any record. So there were many issues. So wherever they are, they did pass through all those hassles. And we tried also to help them and bring them back home in as much as we could.
Okay. I think I've checked all the boxes now. I will say, based on our discussions with Peace Corps in Addis Ababa, that there is hope of soon having another group of volunteers reside in Ethiopia. I don't know if you're going to make another pitch to Peace Corps Ethiopia to have Peace Corps assistance, and certainly I think they're trying to respond to the emphasis on English language instruction, and as I recall, and maybe Randy or Cindy can recall from our discussions with the Peace Corps staff, where they're emphasizing their programs. And I don't know if Borana can put their request in for a particular kind of assistance, any particular skill area, whether it's education or certainly, as you know, from your basic experience, mental health and other health related issues, I'm sure impacts the education as well.
Yes, I completely understand. It's not easy for an American person or the government also to assign people in certain areas. I completely understand that. But in my opinion, high schools like in Yabello are the safest, and they would benefit from getting opportunity to have Peace Corps volunteers. And I will be extremely happy to give any information to be part of the discussion if there is any way I could advocate. So there are also other high schools, but closer to the Kenyan border, in my opinion, do I have any security concern? No, I don't have any. So I've been there in February. I am planning to go. But foreigners, it's different for foreigners. So I don't want to push people to do things. But I don't see really any security threats if somebody is assigned, because there are a lot of NGOs, there are a lot of foreigners, Europeans, North Americans living there. So I really don't see any big concern, and I will be extremely happy if there is any way I could talk to somebody or answer questions or advocate or do anything I could. By the way, there are, I don't see him here. There is Professor Emeritus, Professor Demet from, he's retired from, I think, University of California. He was a professor at Utah. So they have projects in Borana now. And I knew about this project for years. I still know a lot of people who work with them. So there are people who still are actively engaged in different activities.
Okay.
And a lot of times foreigners also do travel to the area.
Yeah, another question has come in about the emphasis areas in terms of educated people. The greatest need is are water experts or teachers or I don't know, health, agriculture. I don't know if it's, you mentioned that some of your students went to Alamayo. I don't know if it's still an agricultural emphasis at Alamayo. And the other thing that occurred to me, your emphasis on cattle. Are there ways to improve are there efforts addressing to enhance the economies of cattle raising, both in terms of milk production, meat production, terms of leather and hides as a economic usage? I know we were told years ago that Ethiopian cattle are prized because there are no scars there's no barbed wire, so there's no scarring of the hides. But there's certain minimum requirements for processing the hides to make them usable commercially. So I guess the two questions to follow up. Areas for advanced education, where are the most important areas, subject areas and areas of study, and other, the economics of Borana and particularly cattle as a source of enhanced economic prosperity.
Yeah, so universities, they teach everything. So for instance, Alamaya in the old days, it's specialized in agriculture. But these days, they do have a very good agriculture departments, but they accept students of all trainings, and they do train medical students. And in terms of where is the need, I would say the need is big, so I think huge. So I really see need everywhere. It could be teachers, as a high school teacher, as a university teacher in Borana, because there is a new university. There are also a number of organizations working with pastoralists. So that has been an ongoing. One of the problems in Borana, from the little knowledge that I have, is the Borana people, they love their animals, they love their cattle. So once, cattle start to have a good grass and water and start to breed, they don't want to sell. They want to keep. They just want it. They don't want even to slaughter. They don't want to sell. They just want to. And then what happens is, in 2 years, 3 years, in the old days, maybe the drought is every 5 years, 10 years. Now it is like every other year. So they will lose everything. And when there was a war with Somalia, I remember when I was a young boy, there was a man who had thousands of cattle. He didn't want even to sell one to feed his family. When his son, he stole a heifer and then sold it. So he really cried the whole day because his son did that to him. And then The next month, the Somali mercenaries, they took everything he had. He didn't have really a single cow. So that is the biggest problem in Borana. I think the government and the international organizations and universities like the University of Utah have tried really a lot of things to improve the livelihood and to improve also the cattle production and in many other ways. So, but the problem is the people themselves. And then one of the reasons also why it gets so dry is it is overgrazed. Everybody has, it's not like 20 cattle, 30, no. It could be 1,000. And then they just leave them, they go out and graze. That means they destroy the grass more than what they eat. So there is really overgrazing. And then on top of that, the change in the environment, whenever drought comes, they lose so many cattle. So I think the need is there, but I don't know exactly which organization is working with.
It's a tough issue. I mean, so what you're saying is that cattle is a sign of respect and wealth, and they don't necessarily think in terms of strictly economic terms. It's a social aspect of having a large herd of cattle, as much as any objective economic issue.
Yes. So you don't know, the Borana, traditionally the Borana people, they don't know how many cattle a person owns. They just one herd is about 100 cattle. So that is the number of cattle a young boy could look after during the day. So he counts only how many herds do you have? 2, 3, 4, 5. That's
so it's an estimate of their wealth, yeah. Or
yes,
their
what it was in
yeah.
the old days, but these days there is nothing like that.
Let me ask you, you've been running for quite a while, your program, and one of the things in development that's been said about educating young women and girls is that, and you had mentioned the pressures of population growth, but that women with greater education are marrying later and having fewer children, which may have an impact on the population growth issue. Do you have any observations about the impact, long-term family impact of educating girls, giving them greater educational opportunity?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I believe that is what we really hoping to see. And if not in terms of the number of girls, also, the quality of life of children of educated mother is completely different compared to the one who is not well educated. So that is what we're hoping. And did we see in our girls if there is any change in terms of the number of children they have? No, we didn't look into that, but we hope in general that is what we hope. So they will focus on the family size.
So you've mentioned Borana as a pastoralist, as the sort of the focus of their society and culture. But from the question come in economically, are there non-agricultural resources or assets that in Borana that require, that could have greater attention or additional attention from a development standpoint? Other natural resources, other.
Yeah, I have to admit that this is not well explored. We know there are a lot of natural resources. So the resources, there is gold just in the neighboring district in Guji. That means there could also be gold, somewhere in Borana. There is gemstone and a number of other precious stones. So when I was a kid, I used to help the farmers, when they bring these stones to the town of Mega, I used to help them sell to traders who come from Addis or from Negele or other places. Did I know what that was at the time? No. Did the farmers know what they were selling for nothing? No, we didn't know. So but these days, I think everybody knows, and there are people who are working in that area. And I believe there are a number of other things. So it's being explored, day by day. There are new things we're hearing, but there is nothing big that could go beyond the consumption of the district.
Yeah. Now, with the drought and the recurring drought, are there any efforts to find other additional water resources? Are there streams or subterranean water that are anyone's aware of or could be exploited to relieve the drought conditions?
Yes, I have to say that this is an ongoing project, and there were 2 or 3 big underground water explored, and the problem is always the money to get it through all Borana, because Borana is a wide area. So there are many water points that has been explored and to some degree used, but not really to the level that could satisfy everybody. And then, there is every time, whenever there is a problem, there is something designed. This time, for instance, they're focusing on making grasses because there are not enough cattle to graze. Now, all the area after a big rainy season, so they're having a lot of grass. So they're trying to preserve that. But I don't know how long this can be maintained. So there are a number of efforts.
So this past year, the rains were pretty good. So there is grass forage for the cattle.
Yes, only after around the first week of March, it started to rain. So once it started to rain, people thought there would not be any grass because the roots are all gone. But now, because there is no cattle, and now they started to complain about what they use. There is no cattle to feed on the grasses. So that is a challenge. Yeah, it is.
So they lost so many cattle. There are none to make use of the new grass that's grown.
Yeah.
All right. So Cindy, do you want to take back the mic and any other items of interest? I think maybe you want to mention follow up with Peace Corps Ethiopia or anything else for the good.
I just want to thank everyone very much for joining us this evening. We will be sending out a survey probably in September to see if you like these events and if you have suggestions for other things that you would like where we could all get together. We could put something something like that together. Also, I want to thank our presenter very much, to show me, and also the Tories. And once we have been recording this, so I'm going to send the link to Obi Shah, who's the director of Peace Corps in Addis Ababa, and maybe this will give you a little support. I think that's the least that we can do. So unless anyone else has anything they'd like to add, I really thank you very much. And happy Juneteenth, happy 4th of July,
Yeah,
happy
Cindy,
summer.
Yeah,
Yes.
before you shut us down, do you want maybe people have been so good about keeping their mics on mute. if you want to say hi, or you can do it in the chat. You can direct a chat to an individual that you might want to contact. But also, maybe we have a few minutes if people want to unmute and say hi to people they're reconnecting with, or it's
Yes,
I'll
someone sent me a note and said, I can't believe that you don't have a glass of wine. Are you okay? So-
they know you, Cindy.
So
Yeah.
anyway, yes, if you'd like to unmute, go right ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just say thank you again, personally to Shomi and to all the people that I know, Betty Bass and Rick Stoner and Dick Overmans and Charlie Fisher from North Carolina. Good to see you folks joining with us. And I'm sorry if I missed anybody I didn't notice, but we enjoy doing this stuff, and we'll see. We'll look for, if you have any suggestions, send us a line. Just I think Chris, if you send to info at the East Ethiopian our email address to submit suggestions. I'll just share my. I sent out from my personal email to a bunch of folks, but I'm ccreeman46 at comcast.net. So if you want to have suggestions for future programs or want to tell us you like this or don't like it, as a member of the board, we'll try and respond to your needs and priorities.
Excuse me, is that Dr. Torrey in there?
Barbara
Yes.
Torres, maybe.
There it is. Yes, Jerry, I saw you there.
Dr. Torrey,
There
it's
he
good to
is.
see you. You probably remember me a little bit in Addis Ababa. I was on the staff there with Don Wilson.
I remember you very well, Jerry.
Yeah, good. We've heard some good things about you. You've done a lot to help people.
Yeah, as Dr. Tashome indicated, Dr. Torrey is the mainstay of the support for this program. So I'm quite astounded, me personally.
Well,
I'd like to add, my wife is also a very part of this. She was a Peace Corps volunteer in Tanzania, and she has a similar program in Tanzania.
yes, I'm a volunteer. I was a volunteer in Tanzania before I came to Ethiopia.
Oh, wow.
Tanganyika 1.
Really? I was
Yeah.
Tanganyika 3.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
You know, we're having a little reunion for Tanganyika people in Santa Fe this October,
Yeah,
and you're sure welcome to come.
thank you.
And Jerry Faust and Marcia, and Nancy Dean Nowak with McKelly Health Team, and then
Oh, yeah.
yeah, hello, oh my goodness,
For you.
hello. Right.
Oh, my.
And about Dr. Fuller Torrey, I went to work for Indian Health Service after studying public health, and he's infamous there so spectacularly because he brought Native American health teaching as well as modern, so-called modern medicine together in Indian hospitals. It was only the doctor who graduated from Harvard or wherever like that who had the word, but he brought the native healers in for the patients. And at least that's what I know about you, Fuller Torrey. And I think I met you in the Bronx when you were there in Bronx, but that was 1,000 years ago.
What was the other doctor's name?
So-
Nancy, where do you live?
I live right now in Hingham, Massachusetts. And,
Oh,
and, and where are you and Marcia?
we're in Colorado.
In Colorado? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Pueblo, Colorado.
Well, I'm just gonna say this has just been so wonderful. And so I applaud the association doing this, and I look forward to many, many more.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
I want to take the opportunity to thank Marion Helbert and Randy Marcus for all the help they've given us. Very helpful.
Well, thank you. I was just going to say, yeah, I'm not on mute. I wanted to thank, of course, Tashomi. He and I have been working to have this production for several months. And it's been a pleasure doing that with him. And it's even more of a pleasure to see him via Zoom, obviously not in person, and to see you guys again. And you're looking good, Fuller, Barbara too. And it's just great that we could do this. It's great we have the technology to do this. And we hope to do more similar programs. But again, thank you all for a wonderful Zoom event, and thank you all for a great project that is going on in Borana.
Yep. And to show me, he is the most wonderful person to work with. He is
Thank you, Barbara.
partly because he has such a sense of humor. So that every time we travel and we get into problems, he has this wonderful sense of humor. You were a little serious today to show me. But if you
Listen,
ever
Barbara,
travel, yeah,
listen, Barbara, I didn't want to tell them, that the Fuller was under house arrest one night in Borana. I didn't want to scare people.
Now that's a story.
I didn't want to scare people.
oh, it's true. Anyway, to show me so wonderful, has been terrific in terms of managing this program much better than we could have. Not being on the ground, we couldn't have understood. Anyway, it's wonderful to see you.
Thank you, everybody. It's a great, great pleasure. I have to say this again. It gives me really a great, great pleasure to be around people who call my name correctly. So I like, the way, my name is called today. Thank you, everybody. Fuller, it's very, very good to see both of you. And I'm glad to see everybody. I'll be extremely honored and happy if anybody wants to discuss about Borana, especially about Peace Corps volunteers. I will really do anything possible, even to go out of my way, travel with people so that they develop some confidence. Go to Borana with them if I know ahead of time.
Yeah,
That's perfect. That's a lovely offer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll just say to
you.
those who are remaining, we have the idea of travel to Ethiopia in the back of more in the front of our minds now. And we'll see what happens and what kind of itinerary we can dream up in the future.
good.
All right,
Okay,
I'm going to
good
sign off,
night.
Cindy. Good
All
night.
right. Good
Thank you,
night.
Tashome.
Thank you all very much.
Great presentation.
Thank you so much. Good
Night,
night.
everybody.
Thank you.
Hi, Fuller.